There's a certain time of day and a certain time of year when the sun sets and the weather cools, where the leaves change and the winds chill. Light retreats, darkness advances, and imagination takes over. It all occurs during that brief period of time known as the Twilight-Tober Zone.
I mean, how stupid do you have to be?
How's the review coming, critic?
That's it! Listen here, you creepy little elf on a shelf. I'm not gonna let a crazy and potentially dangerous person get in the way of my work.
What are you gonna do? Leave? Call for backup? Bring in as many sane and rational people possible to level
Picture
out
of a woman
insane
looking at a picture. Miss Tamara Chambers, sidekick to a spectacled man in a little black hat. Miss Tamara Chambers, comedienne, internet darling, and currently socially distant. How far inward can one travel before losing all sense of direction? What happens when the past becomes the present and the only path forward looks backward? It's sure to be a trip that Tamara's never seen, for it leads to the Twilight-Tober Zone. The 16mm shrine often gets compared to the 1950 film Sunset Boulevard. When I first saw it, I thought the same. They share the premise of an aging actress from another era living in a conceited haze of denial, but where the stories go are slightly different. This is the Twilight Zone after all. Coincidentally, both projects also had the same music composer, Franz Waxman. The star of this episode, Ida Lupino, later returned to the show to direct the Season 5 episode Masks. She was not only the lone female director of a Twilight Zone episode, but also the only actor who directed a separate installment. The director of the 16mm Shrine, Mitchell Leisen, also helmed many films in the 30s, and was said to have connected with the material very well. This was one of 3 episodes that Leisen directed, and the first to air. Barbara Jean Trenton was a huge film star in the 1930s. However, now in the late 50s, her star has faded, and those movie roles have all dried up. She secludes herself in a screening room inside her home, where the aging actress constantly watches her old films on repeat and longs for the days when she was on top. Her agent, Danny, continuously tries to get her back out into the world and work again. He sets up a meeting for a potential new acting role and even invites one of her old co-stars to her house. But Barbara rejects these gestures and rededicates herself to her old routine of seclusion and nostalgia. This time with a very Twilight Zone-esque twist. I like the idea of this episode quite a bit. You could kind of see where it was going with little clues dropped here and there, but predictability isn't a bad thing if it makes sense within the story being told. What works best about this are the character interactions, mostly between Barbara and Danny. Danny is such a nice guy and genuinely trying to help his client. Also, like Sunset Boulevard, there's a bit of an insinuation that there may be some more romantic feelings on one or both sides.
You're a nice guy and a loyal friend. And in my selfish, devious way, I'm very much in love with you.
Martin Balsam has a very recognizable face, since he was in so many seminal movies around the same time, including 12 Angry Men, Psycho, On the Waterfront, and many more. He also made one other Zone appearance in Season 4. He played a range of characters in his long career and comes off very sincere in Danny's attempts to aid Barbara.
That room across the hall is dark, it's damp, it's full of cobwebs. Now, come on, honey, snap out of it, snap out of this kick.
Lupino beautifully plays a woman once treated like a queen who's been forgotten by the public. Now this brings up all kinds of themes and issues. It's no Hollywood secret that parts for actresses in their 40s aren't as plentiful as parts in their 20s. It's a problem that's been brought up much more in recent years, and back then, this was of course even more prominent. Outside of that, the vain attitude she exhibits is a byproduct of her immense fame all those years prior. She refuses to accept a lesser role in a scene that's a bit brutal to listen to, but effective nonetheless.
I don't play mothers, Mr. Saul. I never have, and I won't start now.
You're just an aging broad with a scrapbook.
Look, Marty.
And any part you get at this studio will be charity.
Ouch. While it's somewhat understandable, Barbara can't move on. She's stuck in the past and fails to move forward with her life. From here, she gets more delusional and doubles down on her isolation. Even a visit from an old co-star makes her even further withdrawn. This all leads to an intriguing twist. After going back to her screening room, her maid enters to see she's gone. She then screams upon looking at the screen. When Danny is called over, he turns on the projector to see Barbara and all her old co-stars together inside her house. Aside from Barbara, they all look as they did in their films and are having the party she mentioned earlier. As Danny calls for her to come back, she bids him farewell and drops her scarf on the floor. The film runs out, and upon entering the actual part of the house that was seen on the screen, Danny finds her scarf on the floor.
To wishes, Barbie. To the ones that come true.
Her wish to get exactly what she wanted happened. It's a creepy ending, showing that when someone lives in the past for too long, they won't have a future. It's grim for most of us, but also exactly what Barbara was wishing for, so is this a happy ending? I don't know. I don't consider it one myself, but what do you think? The 16mm Shrine is a very strong early episode of the show. This is one I would definitely give a rewatch to for its somewhat unsettling visuals, ideas, ending, performances, and multiple social themes. To the distant that never return, socially or otherwise, to Miss Tamara Chambers, yearning to be close with those she cannot be. At least not in the present.
Fine. Think I've utilized my detective skills long enough? Get out of here!
But anything's possible in the Twilight-Tober Zone.